Meteorologist Joe Bastardi, whether or not is going to look at Dorian. Okay, here's where it made landfall, a place called Hopetown, and it then continued across Abaco. And look, as a textbook situation you've been following. In fact, talk about my meteorology professor, Dr. John Lee at Penn State, when I was taking class back there in 1976. Let me take my glasses off so no reflex. See where my eyes are. Used to talk about hurricanes busting troughs and turning westward and exploding, and that's what you're seeing there. Those guys back then, they didn't have models. They were really smart, really smart. The rest of us, I mean, can you imagine trying to forecast things like this back in the 1960s? Okay. Um, there's a lot of stuff coming out already. I saw a video of supposedly a gas station in Nassau with the top being ripped off, and I'm like, that can't be Nassau. I have clients there. That's what I do. So they've had wind gusts of 36 miles an hour. Their wind gusts will be peak wind gusts will be 55 tonight, and that's what this storm going to the north. Now I have something called a power and impact scale, which incorporates pressure to really look at how intense a storm is, right? And the thing about in the power and impact scale, if a storm is deepening rapidly, you ramp the wind up, okay? Because this is at 9, 10 millibars, or it was before it came across the island, and the winds went up to 185 miles an hour, which is the highest pressure we've ever had for that wind. In other words, look what these are. Look at Wilma, what is it, 882 or 892? I can't see. That's why I have to have 882. Gilbert, 888. Labor Day hurricane, and that went over land. And this is my big argument with a lot of folks that are going crazy. That Labor Day hurricane could have been stronger than 892. We don't know because we didn't have recons in it back then. There's a Rita, and all these are with recons in them now, right? This is not land pressure like we see in the Labor Day hurricane. There's Allen and Camille. Camille at 900 millibars when it made landfall. And then there's Katrina, which was 923 at landfall. So my argument about all this stuff that these are getting worse is, how do we know what they were before, right? Before the age of satellite, recon, and all the other stuff we got going on. Our forecast has changed very little from yesterday morning, and this is what it looked like. And I am worried about this area. I'm going to explain in just a moment why this could cut right into the southeast New England. And the latest forecast, what I did was I put the track of Matthew on there to show people how close it is to Matthew in here. But Matthew went out. I think this is going to at least try to take a swipe at southeast New England, if not further. And the other thing is, too, it's going to be a heck of a lot stronger near North Carolina than Matthew was. Matthew was diminishing to a Category 1 hurricane at the time. If we continue to look here, let me get that off there. This is Helene. And by the way, we're forecasting wind gusts 120 miles an hour in this entire area here. Well, actually, Wilmington be very, very difficult to get that. But it did with Helene. Helene had a 930 millibar pressure right here and a wind gust of 135 out of the north in Wilmington. Now, back in those days, for some reason, storms, the western side of the storm stayed intact so much. You had things like that going on. You had, for instance, Cape Henry, Virginia, had a wind gust of 156 in the 1944 hurricane with the storm going to the east. By the way, I think Norfolk's going to get gusts of 70, 80 miles an hour out of this. The way the the configuration of Chesapeake Bay and the Delmarva Peninsula act to funnel, because what will happen is, let's say you have a north gradient, the wind over the water will try to blow more northeast, and then switch over the land. It may switch more to northwest or over the bay, and the water converges and the wind converges right down there at Norfolk at Tidewater. So I think that when this goes by, they're getting hurricane conditions, at least in southeast Virginia. And the big question is, does it flip further west in New England? I'm going to go over that in just a moment. This is what I want to show you, this large area of sinking in the Caribbean. And what happened was, and we were talking about this, it went on the eastern side of that and then turned west, busted the trough, and then off we go. And here's my disturbance sideshow Bob, I've been calling it. which I do believe will become a tropical depression or a tropical storm when it reaches the Mexican coast later this week. This is going out. This is our next one. This too will recurve. So that forecasting what's going on here over the next 10 to 15 days for you. Let me take that off there. We want to look at this. That's right. Don't we want to look at this? Yes. The dust has diminished considerably. Now, this is total precipitable water. Where do you think Dorian is out of this? There's Sideshow Bob. There's the Central Atlantic. Look at this in the Eastern Atlantic. Dorian is quite small relative to other features. And that's why, with pressures falling rapidly, if a system is compact at 910 millibars, it can have that kind of wind. It doesn't have to get down to 890. Now, I want you to look at this. This is off the World Meteorological site for the Europeans, so we could use it, put it on publicly. I want you to look at this, and look at this, right? Now, I want to show you Hurricane Carol, 1954, where the negatives were. And the negatives, there was a trough digging in. Carol at this time was here. Notice the negative in here, right? I mean, the day before, the morning of the storm, Carol was being forecast to go to the east of Cape Cod, right? So that big ridge sitting back there is key. See that, right? So that slides in, and it's not going to take much for this to be a stronger ridge in here. These heights are rising rapidly as this trough lifts out here, and this comes in and flips the path further west. This is Carol, and this is Edna. Wow, what did I do with Edna? Hold on a second here. Edna Schmedna. I didn't want to put that. Hold on a second, folks. I'm very, extremely sorry about that. Because, listen, you think this is freaky what's going on now. I mean, I'm sure people are going crazy over it. And by the way, I wrote 2 articles on this in the preseason and about tropical cyclones and all the hysteria that was going to be caused by them. I mean, it's an annual event now, all right? But in any case, here is what happened with Edna. There's Edna there. There's the trough there. There's that ridging there. So there are similarities. And plus, the water is very warm off the eastern seaboard. Now, I wanted to add this before I get back to the water. The month of August, 4th warmest in the NCEP CFSR record. All right, we'll see what Dr. Roy Spencer has, University of Alabama, Huntsville, because that is the gold standard. There's Edna. What the heck is wrong with me? I put it on the wrong site. And there's our sea surface temperatures. And you can see how warm they are off the eastern seaboard. So that favors the ridge trying to bump up here. Okay? Also, you can see it's going over warmer than normal water in this area over the next few days. So that water is as warm. This is its climatological height of being warm, and it's even warmer than normal. So there's plenty of fuel to the fire. Now, folks, this could be an almost, not every site, but from here on up, an unprecedented amount of water, coastal flooding, beach erosion, severe tides. And the reason why is this is going to take 3 days to move from off Florida to where I think the landfall is going to be, someplace between Wilmington, Cape Fear, and Cape Lookout. Look out if you're around Cape Fear. You have nothing to fear unless you're at Cape Fear, and you should look out, okay? And then I think it's going over Pamlico Sound, coming out near either Duck or Kitty Hawk. Duck is a good place to come out because if you're a hurricane and you're going over that place, people are yelling, duck, okay? By the way, why don't you see ducks in church? Because they use foul language. Okay, anyway. All right, so you see how warm that water is out there. You're not going to get this kind of humor on the Weather Channel, okay? So you can decide who you want to watch here. Let me help you aid in that decision. Look at this. You definitely want to watch people on the Weather Channel as far as visuals, okay? All right, but I'm going to tell you something. I do some TV work. Some of you see me, some of you don't. And I'll tell you, let's see what we got. Crooked teeth, broken nose, big ears, and a balding head. Only in America can that actually succeed. Enjoy the weather. Only weather you got.